Okay, here we go. Monday morning, and a very warm welcome to you, my dear friends. Thank you very much for joining us for the December 16th edition of Gudday Grenada. Did I get that date right? Yeah, December 16th. How was your weekend, pilgrims? Certainly hope things went well. Yeah? And now you're all set to take on a new week, the week before Christmas, eh? Yeah? I guess a lot of you are going to be running around doing this and doing that, checking off things on the checklist there, you know, the grocery shopping, the presents, and the invitations, and all of that. Whatever, just don't overdo it. Just don't overdo it. And always remember to be very, very thankful for the life that God has given to us. Now, let's take a look at the rundown, see what sort of mischief we're going to be getting into this morning. Our friend, Anthony DeRiggs, is going to be back with us. Videotape, he's not in person. Right now, I think he's in the Big Apple. I don't know what it's like up there this morning. Maybe having some cold, wintry weather. I was talking on WhatsApp with T.F. Richards just a few minutes ago. He's in Indiana today on the road where he's got lots of snow. And I guess that's kind of normal for this time of the year, yeah? Well, Anthony did a piece recently where he did this. I think this was probably the last video he did. You know, he was here, right? Last video he did before returning to the Big Apple. And essentially what he was doing was saying goodbye to Mount Pandy. Apparently in his formative years, he spent a lot of time on Mount Pandy Beach. And it's very sentimental to him, if you will. And he also mentioned the Bianca C, because you remember that monument that was put up there right next to Pandy Beach. It's now been moved to the Carnage. He mentions that in the piece, and a number of other things, mentioned some names that you may recognize. So we'll hear his little piece this morning. I've captioned this piece, Anthony bids farewell to Mount Pandy and remembers the Bianca C. Then, yesterday morning, I was supposed to run a little piece from you. It's a cute little video which was put together by the Rotary Club of Grenada, as they said thank you to you, Grenada, for supporting this year's edition of Carols by Candlelight. When you look at the rundown this morning, it says Candles by Candlelight. Hey, George, where were you last night? Confused? Well, anyhow, it's Carols by Candlelight. And so I promised that I would run that by you this morning, just a couple of minutes long. Then, yes, we do have the national report for you, all queued up and ready to go. And then, guess what? I so look forward to my time on Monday mornings with the Bain sisters. And if my memory serves me right, they're going to be joined this morning by Dr. Juliette Melville, who is another economist. So, Fiscal Alert comes your way at about 25 minutes before the hour this morning. Okay? Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's see here. Yes. Anthony's final video before heading back to the Big Apple for winter. Oh boy, I could just bet he's just wishing he could be here on the beach. This guy has such a blast, such a hoot whenever he comes here. Huh? We need a few more like him in this place. He's now going to be putting the finishing touches to his next book, which, as I understand it, is due to be out early next year. Of course, we'll be chatting with him when that time comes. But right now, let's see this little piece he did about Mount Pandy.
Well, it's quite fitting that I am back at my favorite Pandy beach, Mount Pandy, to do my final video before I take the plane for the United States. Pandy Beach, as you all know, always special to me. I'm looking at the area where the statue, Bianca C. Christ of the Deep statue, was located one time, and then we know that it's on the Carnage now. A statue that has so much significance for Grenadians, because when that boat caught fire, Bianca C, in 1961, our unsung heroes in their fishing boats and little boats went out there. They went out there and they saved the lives of those who were caught in that disastrous fire, Bianca C. And the statue was placed down in that place, in that region down there. And then it was removed to a new home on the Carnage, where it stands today. Now I'm going to focus on a different area called Ross Point. And I remember when we had swimming races from Grandance. From Grandance, the races started in Grandance and ended on the Carnage. And there was a guy, friend of mine, called Leroy Brown. Leroy Brown was a very good swimmer. And one of the things Leroy Brown told me was that the hardest part, the most difficult part of the race was near Ross Point. Because when you get there, you meet currents, real strong currents. And once you pass the Ross Point area that you can see in the distance, it became a little easier. So, again, I like to big up our Grenadians that people don't talk about. The great Leroy Brown, great swimmer. As you notice, the sea is quite rough this morning. There is not another soul on Mount Pandy Beach. And I remember the days, years ago, when I came down to Pandy to bathe, and I had to turn back, to run back, because the water came in with such a mighty force that I didn't want to get caught in that. Now, one of the things I must say before I leave Grenada, I'm thankful for my brother Chris, other friends, Lord Nell, my slinger friend, who took me all around Grenada, and I shared the pictures and the videos with you, because it is my belief that our country is beautiful, despite all the political bickering and the injustice. But there's beauty in the country that you can see. So we must look at this, highlight our history and our culture. We must always do that. Marcus Garvey said that a people without knowledge of their history and culture is like a tree without roots. And I believe that. I believe that. So we must talk about our culture, our history. There were great people among us. And many of them lived and they died with their knowledge in their heads. So we must be thankful for them, and we must talk about them. Let the world know that Grenadians, just as those who went out there, and I'm seeing a ship out there, tourist liner, just as those who took their little boats and they went out there, how many of us can we call a single name of a person, an individual who saved the lives of the people on the Bianca C in 1961? And this, my friends, is what I intend to do to let the world know that we are a great people, we are a talented people, and God will bless us once we live in harmony with each other. So farewell, Pandy, Mount Pandy Beach, and it's waves this morning. It's waves. I always remember Pandy Beach. No one bathed in this area, only the adventurous perhaps. Most people love that area down here, which you can see at this point. They love to bathe there. So goodbye, my Grenadian friends, all who met me in St. George's, in Grenville, in Sotez, in St. David, all over, and hugged me and told me that they appreciate what I'm doing, because I do it with a purpose. Because I realize there are people in America, in Canada, England, in Trinidad, other places, they can't come to Grenada. Some of them are on wheelchairs, some are on hospital beds. But you know how wonderful it is to see a church, a school, even a graveyard that you were accustomed to years ago. Brings back that feeling of nostalgia, that great feeling. Make somebody happy. Life is not about how much money we have, how deep our pocket is, because sooner or later we'll all go and leave everything. Every blessed cent we will have to leave. So there are more important things in life. Make somebody happy, make somebody smile, share the little that you have, and God will bless you. So once again, thank you all for making my stay in Grenada so enjoyable. And Byron, you and your wife, thank you for that hot cup of cocoa tea. God bless you. Anthony Wendell the Riggs, until such time again. And I remember the time I lay on a hospital bed in Manhattan, and I wondered if I'll ever see Grenada again. But this is the second time I came back. Second time. So you see how God is good? Praise is worthy, he is worthy to be praised. God bless. Anthony Wendell the Riggs, signing out from the land of spice, where there are many, many good people.
This guy so enjoys what he does. He gets really pumped up when he's doing these videos. Did you notice he's just moving around with the camera? And by the way, one thing he mentioned there, remember you saw a boat anchored on the horizon, and I think he mentioned that it was a cruise ship. No, it's not a cruise ship. Believe it or not, that was just one of those luxury yachts you find hanging out down here on these islands at this time of the year. Multi-million-dollar mega yacht. You often see them tied up at Port Louis, yeah? Oh, Anthony, I know, boy, he's been through a tough time, had some very close calls, and he's still around by the grace of God, just like yours truly. We have so much to be thankful for. Now, let me say good morning to those of you who are already there. Ernesto is first this morning, Hazel is second. Bernard is saying good morning, so is Chester, Fitzroy Adams, Anthea Rullo. Joan Wellington is, Joan, please, thank you so much for the Mr. Grant. Make me feel young. Just say George. Hey, how about that? Would really appreciate it. She's sending a nice day to everybody. Kipling Francis is sending his blessings. Oswald Darbo says, remember the reason for the season. Yeah, Oswald. It's not all about presents and rum. And by the way, those of you who like to drink, just remember, cops are going to be out in full force this year with their breathalyzers. Glad to see they're taking some steps, proactive steps, rather than waiting until we have to give people a ride down to Lacroix or what's his name? Otway Bailey. John Franco is saying good morning as well, and so is our good friend Margaret. Thanks for checking in. Gene Pasco saying good morning. T.F. Richards is on the road this morning. Yeah, T.F., I just told them that you're in Indiana today. Please. I know that it's snowing out there, so take it easy on the roads. Ella Mae Jackson. Hello there, Ella Mae. Nice to see you. Grenada Sunshine is saying top of the morning to you guys, and Kathy Roberts as well. Sonia Mathlin Scott. Pleasant Monday and good morning. Viewing from St. George's. Yeah, it's right here in town. Lawrence Kruthoff is saying good morning to you guys. Arthur Langine is saying good morning. Anthea says, love this. Thank you, Anthony Wendell, and thank you, George, for sharing. Anthea, this guy does some incredible stuff, doesn't he? And it's so nice to know that there are a lot of people out there who really appreciate that stuff. Where would life be without Anthony? Michelle Forsythe saying Grenada is indeed beautiful. Let's keep it that way. Girl, you are so right. Help us, and thank you for helping us. John Franco says, Wendell, you sure make me remember our school days. Yeah, that's what I like about the stuff that Anthony does. He takes us back to the days when we were all running around in short pants. Well, I'm still running around in short pants, including this morning. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Winifred Williams is saying good morning. I see that Patricia Wilson is on there. Peter Bishop's on there. Claude Putner saying good morning to you guys. John Nosyneck is saying good morning. John, no rain up there this morning? Arthur Langine says, Brother George, I'm glad to know you're feeling much better today. Definitely, Arthur, I really do. I'm still not out of the woods, but I certainly do feel better than I did when I signed off here yesterday, let me tell you. Lincoln Roberts says, another beautiful day to be thankful for God's children. Much love. Thank you, Linky. I haven't seen Sharon this morning. Ernesto says, good morning, Gigi and families. By the way, Gigi, how are you feeling today? Well, I'm feeling pretty darn good. I have to confess, Ernesto, I didn't go with the remedies. When I got through here yesterday, I went straight to bed. Conked out. Yeah. Elton Sylvester says, thank you, Shays, for remembering me. And George, thank you. And Mr. Anthony reminds me of home in lovely but cold Toronto. Yeah, take that in your tail, guys. It's winter. It's winter. There can be a lot of fun in winter. Just dress appropriately. Huh? Get out there and get into a snowball fight with the kids. John says, how's the head today, George? And no rain here. Well, the head's doing a little bit better. Okay, so yeah. Georgie Porgy is on the mend. Kathy Roberts is also saying good morning. Now, the Rotary Club of Grenada has prepared a short video to say thank you to those of you who patronized this year's edition of Carols by Candlelight, which was held down at Quarantine Point just about a week ago. I'd like to share it with you this morning. It was the 11th time that this event was held, and from what I've heard, it was the best ever. Check this out. Very nice of you, Rotary, to put that together. Thank you so much for being so thoughtful and kind. Certainly hope you guys had a great time, those of you who went out to that. Carlene Vespre is saying good morning. And now let's take a first little break here. And then we will return with the National Report.
GRENADABROADCAST continues to celebrate 25 years of partnership and growth. So this December, we're giving every customer the chance to spin and win. Just pay your bill in full on or before December 18th. Then, on Wednesday, December 18th, join us at any GRENADABROADCAST customer care location. Spin to win giveaways that will make this season even more festive. Hams, groceries, gift vouchers, wine, electricity vouchers, and more. Join the celebration. December 18th, spin and win with GRENADABROADCAST. Visit our website or Facebook page for more information. Terms and conditions apply.
Because your vehicle is a necessity, being roadworthy is critical. Hubbard's Motor Department introduces its new tire and battery sales and service outlet located at Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, close to the Sugar Mill Roundabout. Available are a wide range of competitively priced tires, maintenance-free batteries, oils and lubricants. Keeping in mind your busy schedule, this outlet is equipped to provide you with fast and reliable service. Simply drive in and you'll be delighted with your service experience. For more information, contact 440-2087. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Why wish upon a star? For a bank is better by far. Whatever you're wishing for this Christmas, we'll give you low interest and no fuss.
Co-op Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved ones, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Co-op Bank and you.
Welcome home.
Alrighty, folks. Kathy Roberts says that the video we showed a little while ago done by the Rotary, she says, the video made me a little homesick. Hey, Kathy, listen. American Airlines flies here, Air Canada flies here, JetBlue flies here, British Airways flies here. Who else? Caribbean Airlines, they all fly here. Jump on an airplane, come on down, be with family and friends for Christmas. Jump on an airplane. By the way, John says that was a great video and the photo clips, very festive, absolutely. Whoever did that did a very nice job. There's some very good video producers popping up in this country these days, and it's really, really nice to see that. And once again this morning, we're joined by the Vespre family. A little while ago, we said good morning to Carlene, and now I see that Bradley has joined up. You know, to the best of my knowledge, that's the only couple we have joining us on this forum, and they seem to be making it a regular thing. Thanks a lot, folks, for showing up. Pilgrims, here comes your national report.
Foreign Affairs Minister says Grenada's policy governing diplomatic appointments remains consistent with international norms. We'll have details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Friday, December 13th, 2019, I am Rakisha St. Louis. Foreign Affairs Minister Honorable Peter David says Grenada's policy, which governs the appointment of diplomats, remains consistent with international norms and are therefore not in contravention of the Vienna Convention. Minister David says the fact that someone may be in possession of a diplomatic passport does not give them immunity from anything. The only appointments that are subject to diplomatic immunity according to the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations are officials who are accredited by the receiving state. Minister David explained the process during an interview with some members of the media on Friday.
The fact that we give somebody a diplomatic passport to be an honorary consul or to be any kind does not give them any form of immunity. A diplomatic passport, you know, our PSs, many of them have diplomatic passports, our senior officials have diplomatic passports or official passports. Having a diplomatic passport does not give the holder any kind of diplomatic immunity in and of itself. In order to get diplomatic immunity, the receiving country and the countries in where we have ambassadors would be Brussels, Russia, London, China, New York, Washington, Caracas, and Havana. Those countries, the ambassadors there would have immunity in those countries. The other diplomats we speak of, the honorary consuls and other holders of diplomatic passports, have no form of immunity because we cannot.
The Public Workers Union and the Grenada Union of Teachers, who are jointly representing faculty and staff at the T.A. Marisha Community College, have officially written to the chairman of the college council, Augustine Vespri, accepting the offer of part payment of $1.75 million on or before December 30th. The money represents part payment of increments owed to the college faculty and staff. The letter also stated, and I quote, that the joint unions will appreciate a firm determination for the payment of the outstanding balance of $4,368,000 to be made by December 18th and a signed agreement by December 19th, 2019 to concretize this proposal.
We have been negotiating with the two unions representing the staff and faculty at TAMCC for a while now. We made a previous proposal, and the one we made recently of $1.75 million have been accepted for a part payment of the increment owed to the staff. That we want to thank the union and members of the union, the leadership of the union and its members, for accepting that proposal at this time. The other part, the balance of the payment, need to be worked on. They are asking and place some conditions on us. And we have replied to them indicating that at our scheduled meeting on the 18th, that is Wednesday next week, the matter will be studied and we will come up with whatever is necessary to ensure that we realize our commitment to the staff.
Mr. Vespri says both parties are still in negotiations and the proposal will be discussed with the council members when they meet next Wednesday, December 18th. He says the council's December 18th meeting was already scheduled prior to the receipt of the proposal from the joint unions of PWU and GUT.
We are still in negotiation. Obviously, we would state our position if it comes to that, and we would study their conditions that they want with respect to the balance of the payment. We'll do that, and then whatever negotiated agreement we'll be able to commit to it.
From where the council sits at this moment, do you think it's one that you will be able to work out, or?
Well, I think so, because we have been able to work out this first stage of the increment, so I don't think it will be impossible to continue working and realizing an amicable solution to the increment problem.
The council, he says, is committed to the payment of the increments in question. This is the National Report. We'll have more news after the break.
Did you join the public service on or after February 22nd, 1985, and have since retired? This might be important to you. Government understands that the NIS pension may be insufficient to take care of your needs. So, while it awaits the court's ruling on the matter of pension for public officers, government has taken action to protect your quality of life so that you can take care of your needs in the meantime. Persons who joined the public service on or after February 22nd, 1985, and served continuously in an established position for a minimum 26 years and 8 months, and retired at age 60, may be eligible to receive an advance payment, which when combined with NIS, represents 70% of their last salary. For more information, call or visit the Pension Secretariat in the Department of Public Administration, Ministerial Complex, 440-3767.
Welcome back. New gas detectors donated by the government and people of Japan will change the response strategy of the RGPF's fire department. The department on Friday displayed items that were donated by the Japanese government and the fire department of Canada in November. Sergeant Adrian Pantru said that the gas detectors are timely and much needed to enhance the department's execution. They can be used in confined spaces for arson investigation, leak detection, and landfill monitoring.
These gas detectors has the capacity to detect gases such as carbon monoxide, hydrogen sulfide, and as it relates to toxic gases, we speak in things like ammonia, chlorine, hydrogen cyanide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and methane. As it stands presently, without the gas detectors, as firefighters, when we go to most of these scenes, we are going in blindly. We're going on faith because we are not able to determine the level of these gases that we have in the environment. In most instances, we will just use our self-contained breathing apparatus to deal with those situations. However, with the inclusion now of these gas detectors to our toolkit as it relates to firefighting, we'll be able to detect these gases, and then we'll be able to, in a better position to deal with those emergencies.
Sergeant Panchu says officers in the department will be trained to use the equipment.
Come next Tuesday, the 17th of December 2019, we will be receiving training from the company Pandy, which is Pro Engineering Design Consultant, who is a regional agent for these gas detectors. And they will be coming here to Grenada to provide some training for members of the fire department. It would be more so the trainers, where we would have a number of persons from the fire department being trained, but these persons in turn would train all the members so that whoever who is on duty at the point in time that we might get an emergency, they'll be able to go out and use those detectors.
He stressed the need for Grenadians to adopt a culture of developing a home emergency plan. This plan will prepare families in the event of a fire.
That is something that a lot of persons do not have in place. You go to work every day and you have a work emergency plan, you do fire drills and so forth. But who are more dear to you? Yes, your co-workers might be there, but your family at home, your children, right? They are most dear to you. So you need to have a home emergency plan, and you need to actually have drills at home. Let your children know exactly what they should do. If they get up in the middle of the night and the house is filled with smoke, how do they get out? You practice those things and they know exactly where they should go. You have a muster point so that everyone can congregate there, so that you can actually account for persons. So when we as firefighters get to the scene, you're in a position to tell us, listen, everyone is accounted for, so you're only dealing with a fire.
Bunker suits, 27 trousers, 27 jackets, 43 shirts, 5 helmets, gas and dust-proof masks are among the items donated. Finally, in the news, a team from the Ministry of Infrastructure Development moved swiftly on Thursday to clear a landslide in the Granatang area caused by heavy rains. The ministry team worked with officials from the fire department and FLO, who helped to facilitate the smooth flow of traffic. The landslide occurred as a result of heavy rains on Thursday. That story just ended the National Report for today, Friday, December 13th. Let's recap the top story. Foreign Affairs Minister says Grenada's policy governing diplomatic appointments remains consistent with international norms. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Government Information Service, I am Rikisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Alrighty, folks, there you have it. That was Friday's edition of the National Report. Because of the weekend, we couldn't bring it to you. It came out on Friday night, so there you have it, Monday morning. Now, let's say good morning. You guys can start feeling jealous. Monday morning, George and 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 young ladies. Take a look. Take a look at that lineup. Don't you wish you were sitting in this chair? Huh? Good morning, ladies, and how are you?
Good morning, George.
That sounded like a chorus, didn't it? Huh?
How are you feeling, George?
I'm feeling a whole lot better than I did yesterday morning. It's been a pretty tough time for the last few days, but I'm okay. I trust that everybody had a great weekend.
Yes. Very good weekend. We did.
Juliette, who's on the top left there, we missed you, you know. I know you can't be with us all the time, but we've gone a few weeks without you, but I see that you're back, and that's nice.
Yes, George, and when you are not seeing me, it doesn't mean I'm not there. I'm either there through it or online, listening.
Well, let's have Laurel tell us what you guys have up your sleeves this morning.
Okay, George, I'll do it this morning.
Oh, okay, Gemma.
Good morning
Gemma.
again. Good morning again, George, and good day to all our listeners and viewers of Fiscal Alert. It is indeed a pleasure to have you online with us this morning as we continue on this investment in our self-development and ultimately fiscal sustainability. Our experienced and trusted economists, Laurel and Juliette, are prepared this morning to recap highlights of previous programs and the 2020 budget. I now hand over to Laurel and Juliette to do their do.
Thank you very much, Gemma. Good day to all listeners, viewers. Fiscal policy. It is one of the most important and widely used instruments for managing the economy. And hence, the focus on fiscal policy and economic management. During the previous programs, we looked at definitions of concepts, particularly fiscal policy, economic management. We also look at the role of fiscal policy. Ultimately, economic growth and development. However, a number of roles have been assigned to fiscal policy as it evolves. Most important is the stabilization of the economy and the redistribution of income. In doing fiscal policy, we noted that fiscal sustainability is very important, although fiscal transparency is also critical. In the Grenada context, fiscal sustainability is anchored in the Fiscal Responsibility Act. We went through some of the issues relating to the Fiscal Responsibility Act, and there were some concerns. A fundamental question was, is the Fiscal Responsibility Act transparent? To that, I said, yes. The Act is transparent, it is precise, but it is very technical. And in that context, I recommended an educational program. But some issues did come up in terms of the Fiscal Responsibility Act. An important one was the issue relating to the primary balance. The Fiscal Responsibility Act stipulates that the primary balance target is 3.5% of GDP. It also stipulates that grants and the associated expenditure, capital expenditure, and capital expenditure from the National Transformation Fund are exempt from the Fiscal Responsibility Act rules and targets. In analyzing the Act and the fiscal performance, we thought that the most appropriate balance to be used is the primary balance without the inclusion of grants. There are two primary balances. Primary balances before grants and primary balance after grants. And we thought that the primary balance, excluding grant, was the most appropriate. There was a difference, and there is a difference. So if we look at the 2019 budget, the primary balance without grants is 3.8% of GDP, and the primary balance with grants is 6.8% of GDP. We concluded that fiscal targets or benchmarks are important guides for fiscal policy. However, they must be realistic and they must allow for flexibility to manage the economy.
Laura,
and this, yes,
before you go on, I think this is an important point to underscore, that we need to understand what our various indicators are purporting to do. That is what they are measuring and the information that is embedded in them. The indicators and the information that is presented, they need to be probed and interrogated. We always have to remember that information and data are presented to support the story we want to tell. Laurel has just pointed to the importance of distinguishing between the primary balance before grants and the primary balance after grants. If one is interested in the resources being generated internally to service the national debt and to acquire other financial assets, the primary balance before grant is key. The with grant balance tells us about the donor partners' resources available to the country to supplement domestic resources. So as have been pointed out, the primary balance before grant immediately raises questions about sustainability in the context.
Yeah.
So that's important.
Thank you very much, Juliette. And maybe on this point, we can go into some of the economic indicators. As we entered into the 2020 budget, a comprehensive assessment of the domestic conditions were provided. And maybe we can go into the domestic economic developments prior to the presentation, or that was included in the presentation of the budget.
What I suppose we can say here, not to belabor it, but simply to note that both the budget and the recent IMF mission, or the IMF Article 4 mission for Grenada for 2019, reported favorable macroeconomic performance. The growth of 3.2% is expected for 2019. It also suggested falling unemployment, though still very high or uncomfortable high levels of youth unemployment, strong financial indicators, on the whole, a stable performance. But as we have said in the past, no one indicator, one set of indicators can give the full picture of what is happening in the economy and the society. You usually require a number of indicators across different dimensions in order to really understand how the economy is performing and how this is being experienced by people. Hence, to supplement your official macroeconomic indicators, you need detailed current labor force statistics, as well as information on living conditions and poverty to assess the social and economic well-being of the citizens. Additionally, it is important to do comparison both across time, regionally, as well as internationally. And importantly, as I said before, you need to probe beyond beyond what is presented. And in that context, I will just want to mention two areas that jumped out at me reviewing the information. And these refer to the public debts. The public debt, as Laurel indicated, the debt to GDP ratio is one of the important anchors for the fiscal sustainability framework. This is reported to attain 55.8% by the end of 2019 and is projected to attain the target rate of 55% well before the 2030 deadline. We should note also that the ratio that the ECCU recommends for its member states is 60%. But as we said a couple of weeks ago, debt totaling about 16.6% of GDP is not accounted for in that 55.8% debt to GDP ratio. If we take these other debts into account, the debt to GDP ratio is over 70%. The 55.8% debt ratio and the projected 55% that is the target refers only to central government and government guaranteed debt. So the debt that are not included include the debt owed that are not guaranteed but have been contracted by public enterprises, Petrocarib debt, as well as debt owed to other governments, bilateral creditors. It is important, again, for transparency in order to get a total picture to know if these debts are being serviced. If not, what is the plan for servicing these debts and why aren't they covered by the fiscal responsibility legislation? Even if they are not covered, they should be reported on to give the true picture of the state of affairs. The second...
Hold on a minute, Juliette.
Yes.
Essentially, tell me if I'm right or wrong here, but you're saying that the public needs to be advised of what you just told us, you know.
Yes, I'm saying that just for completeness and comprehensiveness, this is what your debt is, and unless it is written off, it has to be serviced. It has a call on resources, and therefore, it should always be kept at the forefront. The debt has to be paid. And that is what the real position is. It is not 55 or 55.8%, it is 70%. Grenada may have some leeway in how it services the debt, those outstanding debt. I don't know what the details are, but unless they are converted into grants, there are obligations that have to be met at some point in time.
Okay.
And therefore, they should be accounted for and not put aside and forgotten.
Well, that's what we didn't know. So thank you very much for opening our eyes to that. Go ahead.
Yes. The second point relates to the debt restructuring agreement, and some clarification is needed here. In reading the bond circular document, that is the document that was put out for the holders of the old bonds, this document suggests that there is a clawback provision in the agreement. What do I mean by a clawback provision? It simply seems to provide for the part of the debt that was forgiven, that creditors have an opportunity to recoup part of this. How is this expected to work? According to the agreement, some portion of monies or revenues that flow to the Citizens by Investment Program has been earmarked to repay bondholders some of the principal that has been forgiven, provided that Grenada successfully completed its IMF program, that the second haircut was given by the creditors, which was given some time ago, I think in 2017, and that the program earns more than US 15 million in any given year. And this is the amount that they can recruit cumulatively is set at 35% of the face value of the new bond. This suggests to me, I'm not seeing it written anywhere or documented anywhere, but just looking at the bond agreement, it suggests that part of this written off principal is being repaid. Since Grenada has met all of the three conditions, they successfully completed the IMF program, the haircut has been given, and the fund, the CBI, is earning more than 15 million in revenue. It means, according to the bond circular, some amount of money is being repaid to the creditors of the old bond. So again, a clarification or information needs to be put into the public as to whether or not the written off principal is being repaid, how much of this written off debt has been repaid to date, and what is the total amount of this haircut that is expected to be repaid from the CBI fund. So in effect, what is the real debt write-off at the end of the day? Because it originally suggests you have 50%, but if you're going to be getting back a part of it through the CBI program, it's really not 50%. At least that's my interpretation. If it's incorrect, it needs to be clarified. It needs to be, the correct position needs to be stated, but it's there in the bond circular.
Juliette, this just allow me to introduce the budget.
Laurel?
Yeah.
Before you move on, we have like 2 questions on Facebook. We have, first of all, we have Arthur, Ryan, and Sonia just sending to say good morning. Then there's a question from John. And John said, ladies, do you see the disappearance of international banks having any link to Grenada fiscal responsibility?
I wouldn't say the disappearance of the banks linked to Grenada fiscal responsibility. However, from general reading and information, I think that the issue of the correspondent banking, I think that is what has arisen, and it's related to in some countries the economic citizenship program, the issue of due diligence in terms of the economic citizen program. So I wouldn't say the act itself, but I will say the countries doing accurate, detailed due diligence on the economic citizens to ensure that funds are legal funds are channeled through the banking system. And it is related to the corresponding banking issues.
Yeah, I think it's wider than that. It's not directly related to any country fiscal policy per se, but I think this is a question, it's a security issue, as Laurel said, money laundering, whether you have the appropriate systems in place to guard against money laundering, to protect against terrorist financing and so forth. So it's really because of the stringent requirements to ensure that money in the banking system is clean, and the cost of it to the international banks that they are withdrawing.
And we have, and there's another question from Ryan, who says, can Grenada government fiscal responsibility sustain public finances, ensure optimal rate of economic growth, and maintain appropriate levels of public investments?
Yes, Ryan, this brings us, maybe we could answer this one by going into the 2020 budget and seeing the outcome there. But just before I go there, I just want to just mention that the budget was presented in a legislative framework, which is good. And the legislative framework makes provision based on the Debt Management Act for the submission of a comprehensive public sector debt report to Parliament. And some of the issues raised by Dr. Melville Juliette could be included in this document once this document is submitted to Parliament. So it was not submitted this year, but it's a requirement under the Debt Management Act, and hence this information could be included there. The question for Ryan on the sustainability takes us to the 2020 budget, and we can look at it in that light. In the 2020 budget, it operated within the context of the Fiscal Responsibility Act. And we'll focus first, let's look at the expenditure side. There is a binding constraint that expenditure must increase in real terms by 2%. It means in 2020, government expenditure with a rate of inflation of 1% could only increase by 3%. In so doing, you had a 3% increase in current expenditure, which is consistent. But what we noted was that there was, to facilitate that and given the wage negotiation, personal emoluments, the wage bill increased by 9%. But expenditure on goods and services decreased by 7%, social spending by a little over 1% decrease, and there was an increase in interest payments. We come into the sustainability issue. There is a provision in the Fiscal Responsibility Act for a primary balance of 3.5% of GDP. The budget makes provision for a primary balance of 6.1% of GDP. That 6.1% of GDP is achieved by significant inflows of grants, funds from friendly governments. When we delete the grant element from the primary balance, what we are getting is that the fiscal account is resulting in a deficit, a small deficit of approximately negative 0.2%. It shows that the fiscal, it is dependent heavily on inflows of grant financing.
Yes, Laurel, yes. I think this again is another important point to emphasize. Grants are playing a pivotal role in the government financing. If you look also closely at the capital expenditure category, the capacity, Grenada's capacity to finance its capital expenditure has been declining since 2013. That is, its capacity to finance capital expenditure from own resources has been declining since 2013. And now it is overly dependent on the grant financing. So for 2020, you're projecting capital expenditure of 225.3 million, of which 201.8 million, so more than 90% of this is expected to be grant financing, Importantly, when you look across the years, grant financing is expected to decrease. So you already have limited capital spending being financed by external partners, and this financing is expected to decline over time.
And that's not very good, is it, Juliette?
No, it isn't very good unless you can generate internal resources to finance the growth, or you can attract resources from elsewhere, but it also would mean a greater dependence on the private sector to drive growth. So it's either you generate more internal resources to finance a capital expenditure, or you get your private sector to do the necessary investing.
Right.
So I think
that is the sustainability issue.
Ryan, sorry, Juliette. Were you finished?
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah. So Ryan asked a straightforward question. Does GOG have a surplus?
Okay. Coming back to overall, on the fiscal account, there is recorded a surplus of $146 million. So Ryan, just listen to me so I could explain. In that fiscal account, consideration is not given to principal repayment. Principal repayment is treated as a reduction in commitment and is not treated in the expenditure, although it is an expense to the government. So let's say 146 million in surplus.
Laurel, this is surplus with grants.
With grants, yeah.
With
surplus
grants.
with grants, after grants. After you receive grants. However, Ryan, there is a principal repayment requirement of $287 million. So when we deduct the principal repayment requirement, we end up in deficit position, no cash at hand, right?
That's not a good place to be.
That's no cash at hand. If we look, Brian, and I'm directing you to the medium-term debt management strategy. At the end of the strategy, the last 2 pages, you will see the borrowing requirement of the central government. The borrowing requirement suggests that in 2020, there will be a borrowing requirement of approximately 340 million. And hence, we discussed last week, the need for the approval of the loan request to finance the budget. So Ryan, when we take all expenses, there is no cash in hand, there is a deficit.
Another question coming from Ernesto. He says, last week we heard that Andals shut down all its doors effective immediately, which means over 200 people will be unemployed and back in the workforce. Question, what efforts, I think he means effects would it have on the economy and why?
Well, the most direct effect would be on your unemployment situation, number one. The second effect is it's economic activity. So most likely you will have a reduction in economic activity. Reduction in economic activity in terms of our open economy leads to a reduction in our imports and in terms of our revenue, because that's where we source our revenue, generally imports and if you have profit from businesses. So there are, I see 3 immediate direct effects: employment, unemployment, economic activity, imports, activity on your tax revenue, and GDP. Dr. Melville may add.
No, I think those are the broad areas where you will see the immediate effect. I mean, at the end of the day, you have people that are out of work. There is no income. Therefore, spending will decrease immediately. People will be managing the limited resources they have for it to go as far as possible. So you have your unemployment effect, you have your income effect. And again, because it's an open economy, because of the reduction in spending, imports would be impacted, which would have on one side a positive impact on the trade balance, but given the dependence on trade taxes for revenue, it will also have a negative impact.
And if I could just mention 3 other comments before you continue. Ryan is saying the GOG running a budget deficit, hence needing to cut spending. And I think you touched on that in your previous answer. Ryan also says, that's what I thought. Without external grants, Grenada is in deficit, not good.
Yes, well, without the grants, the overall balance on the fiscal account would be negative. Yes.
And if I may intervene, Janice, John is also saying 15 million coming in from the CBI program. I guess that is in relation to the correspondent banks and the banks requiring more due diligence and so forth.
Yes, and I must indicate here, John and team, that in terms of our analysis, we had no information to include in terms of the National Transformation Fund, and these are not included in terms of the analysis undertaken thus far, and that's an area that we need to look into. And this brings us also to, given the situation, the implementation of the budget needs to be carefully examined. We indicated last week that there's some 2 weeks ago, There are some implementation issues which need to be addressed, among which is the development of capacity, but there are other implementation issues. A final point we looked at, particularly in the budget, was its alignment to the National Development Sustainable Plan. I indicated also that the plan needs to be anchored to leverage the benefits of our economic integration arrangement, particularly as we are a small economy. However, the budget needed to go a bit further in terms of its alignment with the National Development Sustainable Plan. And hence, the budget itself needs to be, as the plan is trying to be transformative, needs to be more transformative and more aligned.
Yes, Laurel, and you can also argue that given the National Sustainable Development Plan is what is going to be used to guide development in Grenada over the next how many years, the budget should, as part of its regular feature, provide an update on how the economy is performing. It should report on progress in achieving the medium-term goals linked to the National Sustainable Development Plan. So just as how it reports on how it is doing relative to the fiscal responsibility targets, it should be given some indication. We said that we would have undertaken action in X, Y, and Z area that would have contributed to objective 1, 2, or 3 of the National Sustainable Development Plan. Therefore, this is what was achieved in 2019, or this is what we expect to do in 2020. So it should report on it, so at least you have a rolling sense of how the plan is performing over time.
Juliette, I'm glad you used the term rolling, because we emphasize also the need for the medium-term development strategy, which will transform the National Development Sustainable Plan into periods of 3 to 5 years. And the budget will then be linked with that medium-term development strategy, and then ultimately linked to the National Sustainable Development Plan. And this brings us to the component in terms of the documents. A number of documents are being presented in terms of support of the budget and generally. However, we thought that the documents need to be comprehensive and integrated. And a few examples, for example, the medium-term debt strategy has a borrowing plan. However, the details of the revenue and expenditure to derive the borrowing plan needed to be included. The medium-term fiscal framework ends with an overall balance after grant. It does not include the financing component of the fiscal account. And the financing component, as I had explained, tells you if there is a surplus, how will that surplus be disposed? Or if there is a deficit, how that deficit will be financed. A critical component also, the primary balance before grant, which gives an indication of the sustainability of the public finance, needs to be included. And it will also be good in terms of the 2020 or in future medium-term fiscal framework to include an assessment of the performance of the previous year. So for 2020, a detailed assessment, line by line, in terms of the previous year, need to be included so that we have a comprehensive and integrated information to the public. There are also areas relating to the data that are provided and a need for more also comprehensive data, particularly on the labor force. And my other team members there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so Laurel, I think this information sharing and information dissemination, these are key issues. I mean, complete and accurate information with simple explanations to allow the public to understand how the economy is performing, how government policies are working, is a must. Public documents should really be seeking to educate and to inform with the goal of giving people the wherewithal so that they can engage the government on policies that impact on them. As you said, there are documents, some statistics are available, but they are not complete. And even for me as a trained economist, it's a challenge interpreting what is presented. So if you take somebody, John Public, you can see the difficulty they will have in understanding some of the information presented. So you need, notes, definitions, in order to facilitate understanding. And then the information must be complete, not partial. You need complete information to get a full picture. And one of these programs that area for improved statistics would be with the CBI program. Whilst on the website for creditors, you do have a table on the Citizen by Investment program. This could be presented with greater clarity and greater explanation. So, for example, you have a section which shows earmarked for general government financing. And then you have a subsection, saving for arrears and general financing, and a number is presented. What is this? You also have CBI payment to Treasury. What are these used for? What is this and what is it used for? So you need explanation to go with the tables, and it's not just enough. It is not good enough to simply present the numbers and expect people to understand from there what is intended, what information it is conveying. So you need more notes to go with the information, and it should be simple and straightforward.
Yes, and
Laura, before you go ahead, we have just a couple questions. A comment from John: so many things get not included in these fiscal reports. That's just a comment. Ernesto is asking, can you give us an update on our standing with the IMF?
Well, as I said, the IMF last meeting, I think, was in the last visited in the first half of this year. And they report they were very happy with Grenada's performance with respect to the fiscal responsibility framework, with respect to the financial sector in general. I think what they did point out, and I think Laurel may have mentioned it, is now that the macroeconomic indicators are looking up, maybe you now need to look at balancing the stringency of your fiscal stance with the need for capital investment to grow the economy. Because when you have very tight fiscal policy, it means you are not growth promoting. And they say now that you have achieved this reduction in debt, you are below your targets, or you are going to hit below your target soon. It's time to think about rebalancing, refocusing. So that means looking now at where you can undertake investment, stroke expenditure that will be growth enhancing.
And if I could come in here, Juliette, because in terms of the Fiscal Responsibility Act, it indicated that when the target of 55% of GDP, debt to GDP ratio is achieved, there is need to recalibrate the primary balance. Both in the medium-term fiscal framework and in the medium-term debt strategy, I didn't see provision for that recalibration. And against this recalibration should, I would say, take into consideration the need to grow the economy.
Yes, and what the recalibration in this case would mean, given that you are doing so well, it means that you would have most likely a lower primary balance that would facilitate greater spending, greater scope for spending.
All right, ladies.
Any question, Jack?
Any more questions on Facebook?
No, I don't think
there's
there are
only
any more.
One comment from. Yeah, no real questions from Facebook.
All right, but I just. Go ahead, Laura.
Yes, George. No, you go ahead, George.
I just wanted to say something before we pull the curtain down. You know, I'm sitting here this morning somewhat befuddled. I want to thank you folks for the eye opener that we got this morning. You guys really taught us a lot. We are learning from you. You know, Juliette, you mentioned that you, as an economist, are having difficulty understanding some of the partial information that is being provided to the public. Not too long ago, we heard in the report from the Fiscal Responsibility Oversight Committee, they identified a lack of detailed information. You know, they're trying to do the same stuff that you guys are doing here this morning, making sure that our economy stays on track. But they're having difficulty getting a lot of information as well. They have been calling for comprehensiveness. And this is all happening at a time when we're being told that our economy is booming. Yet, as I sit here listening to you folks, I can't help, forgive me, I might be wrong, I'm not an economist, but I cannot help but be concerned when you read through the lines of what is being said here this morning. And hence the reason I say thank you, thank you, thank you. We need our eyes to be opened to the reality we face here on the ground. That's the only way you're going to be able to tackle things and make a positive difference. Okay?
Yes, George.
But when you're simply being told that, hey, man, everything is hunky-dory, and it's not, it's unfair to us. It really is unfair. And so, ladies, over the holiday season, I want you to rest assured of one thing. You have our deepest appreciation for opening our eyes. I sit here and I ask myself, where would we be without voices like yours? Thank you. Anything you want to say before I go?
Yes, Laura, just let me say, George, just to tell George, as I said before, I mean, information is there, the data is there. Data is presented to support the story you want to tell. You can look at the data, Laurel can look at data, Janice can look at the data, and we can present it in different ways depending on the story we want to tell. Secondly, that there is no one or two indicators that can give the full story. You need to look at a number of them. You need to interrogate them. What is this really telling me? This is what it is. This number is 55.8%. But what is this made up of? And then you start to probe beyond it, then you get an understanding, and then you start to ask more questions. And that is what leads you to discover reality.
Good. And that's why we have this program, George, because we believe knowledge is power.
And if we can just take this opportunity, George, to say thank you for having us on the program. Your program is a valuable voice in the public debate. And we want to also say thanks to Laurel Bain. The program was her idea. And Gemma and I are thankful that she took us along with her. Dr. Juliette, Melville, we are happy that you're with us, and we hope to see lots more of you in 2020.
Thank you.
And we also want to say thanks to the viewers and listeners who challenged us with their questions and held our feet to the fire.
Hey, wait a minute.
Cassandra, Margaret, Ryan, Ernesto, just everyone. We really appreciate it.
Wait a minute.
We want to encourage everyone to continue to... Yes, we can't mention everybody, but we appreciate all the comments. We want to encourage everyone to continue to read and search for information. Let's continue to speak not only to our friends or the people who agree with us, but also to the ones who do not agree with us. Let's gather information from all sources and interrogate that information so we can make our own decisions about public policy. Here on Fiscal Alerts, our goal is to try to provide some of the knowledge and the tools that are used to analyze the fiscal policy so everyone can make their own individual decision. So we ask you to join us in 2020 where we continue the debate and we try to make Grenada a better place for all of us. Thank you, George.
Now, hold on a sec.
Thank you, George.
Hold on a sec, Janice, hold on. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I didn't hear you thank Gemma, did you?
Well, I said that Laurel invited Gemma and myself, and we were happy that she did.
Okay, we're happy that she did as well. Now, we have two doctors on the panel. One Dr. Melville and one Dr. Bain. Which of the two gives Zugus?
George, I ordered the Zugus. I don't personally administer it.
Okay, because it seems like we may need
the
to,
nurses.
we
The
may need
nurses
to
are
have
the
a few
key.
shots here, Janice. We really may need to have some Zugus to, bring us back to reality. And once again, thank you so much to all you ladies. I do wish you guys a wonderful holiday season. God's blessings. So we're not going to see you next week. We're going to see you in January sometime. First Monday in January?
We will.
First Monday in January.
We'll confirm with you, George, soonest.
Okay.
See that date falls on.
That's great. Looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Happy holidays to all.
Yes, and good day. Bye.
God bless you all.
Bye, George. Bye, viewers.
All right, folks, there you have it. This week's edition of Fiscal Alert, and I hope these ladies hang on there for just a sec. These folks are invaluable. They are invaluable. Over the past few weeks, they have really opened our eyes to reality by presenting facts in a way that we, especially me, nincompoop when it comes to economics, can understand. I hope that you will continue to show them your appreciation. By the way, Laurel has a publication out. Let me see if they're still there. Hold on a sec here. Laurel, are you still there?
Yeah, George.
Laurel, there's a publication that you wrote some time ago. We haven't talked a lot about that, but I want you to tell our listeners, just in case, so they get a better understanding of where you guys are coming from. Tell us about your publication.
George, the publication is Fiscal Policy and the Economy. And, in terms of the economy, particularly in the currency union, and fiscal policy evolved over time from being inactive to more inactive. And a number of issues arose during that period. And the book addresses some of the issues of fiscal transparency, governance, harmonization of fiscal policy in the currency union, the issue of tax concession, its impact and what recommendations it can have, the issue of developing fiscal targets, and even the value-added tax and its appropriateness for the countries like Grenada. So that is the book in summary: Fiscal Policy, the Economy, and you have a detailed supplement on one, the tax structure of the member countries of the currency union.
And where's that available?
We're making it available on Amazon, and you shall have it soon. I will send it to Facebook, or you can access it.
Okay. Now here's
George, I can also be contacted for copies of the book.
Gemma Bain Thomas. What's your email
Gemma Bain
address, Gemma?
Thomas. My email or my cell phone?
Okay, your email, whichever you want to give.
Which one do you?
Give them both.
I'll give you my cell phone.
Okay.
Okay, 414-5971.
414-5971.
And my email 971.
Okay.
And email Bain, BAIN dot Thomas, THOMASG gmail.com.
Thank you very much. Now, just before we go, I see
I can
something,
be contacted and have it available.
I hope this is going to put a smile on Juliette's face. Juliette, we have a character listening to you right now in Carriacou. This gentleman is, I say this with all affection, a bit of a nutcase. And he has posted something here. He says, George, what's Zorgose? Z-O-R-G-O-O-S-E. How do you spell it? Well, John, to begin with, I never said Zorgose. Z-O-R-G-O-O-S-E, or Zorgose. I said Zugu. And Janice, as a medical doctor, I'm going to ask you to explain to John, as delicately as you can, what is a Zugu? And John, it's spelled Z-O-O-G-O-O. At least I think that's the way I've spelled. That's the way I've spelled it all my life. Zugu. Janice, explain what a Zugu is to this man, please.
John, Zugu it's an injection. And I know when you're growing up, you would have gotten different injection, like for measles, mumps, rubella. You get it we got it in the shoulder. I think some of us even still have a mark on our shoulder from the injection or the Zugu. So it's basically an injection. It could be immunizations, other forms of treatment.
Well, this is probably a Grenadian term because I never heard of it.
My goodness. My goodness. Well, it's nice to know, Juliette, that you too are learning something from this program. My goodness.
Yes, never heard of it.
And maybe John, is it John? Maybe if you look on your right here, you may see the mark from a Zugu that you got as a child.
Yeah.
Well, I have a
Juliette will not have it, but most of us from Grenada have that mark.
Oh, I have it.
You have it?
Yes.
So you may have gotten a Zugu and you just didn't know.
Margaret, who's listening to you guys in New York now, she says, yep, I got my Zugu mark on my left arm.
It's generally on the left arm also. So we tend to have it.
You know, that's one place we got
But
the
even
Zugus
when we were in school, whilst I was at the Anglican High School, they took us to the stadium once to administer a set of Zugu.
That's the measles, mumps, and rubella.
Yeah. And even I don't know, in the flu season, some people will get the flu shot as preventative for the flu season. So you actually get an injection, and it's usually in the left or right shoulder. You get to choose this nowadays. It doesn't leave the mark anymore, but in the previous years, you would have a big mark to show that you did get your Zugu.
And Janice, let me tell you, as a kid growing up, when they talked about Zugus, we weren't just talking about Zugus here. You know, you go into the doctor's office and you had to bend over and pull your pants down and have somebody poke a needle into you. That's the one I hated.
Because they're looking for muscle. They're looking for a place that have good muscle to put it in.
Muscle?
So the glute is, it should be muscle there.
Should be.
Some people, it's muscle. Yes.
Okay, ladies, thank you very much. You have a wonderful day.
Most
God bless
welcome.
you.
Yeah, have a good holiday. Take care.
Bye, George.
All right, see you guys next year. We'll take a break and come right back.
Christmas safety tips. Always unplug Christmas tree lights before leaving home or going to sleep. Check your tree lights and outdoor lights for damage each year before you use them. Discard lights with frayed wires, loose connections, and cracked sockets. Do not overload your wall outlets or extension cords. Remind children never to touch lights or outlets. Select lights appropriately. Never use indoor lights outside or vice versa. Happy holidays from Grenlake.
Because your vehicle is a necessity, being roadworthy is critical. Hubbard's Motor Department introduces its new tire and battery sales and service outlet located at Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, close to the Sugar Mill Roundabout. Available are a wide range of competitively priced tires, maintenance-free batteries, oils and lubricants. Keeping in mind your busy schedule, this outlet is equipped to provide you with fast and reliable service. Simply drive in and you'll be delighted with your service experience. For more information, contact 440-2087. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Why wish upon a star? For a bank is better by far. Whatever you're wishing for this Christmas will give you low interest and no fuss.
Co-op Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved ones, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Co-op Bank and you.
Alrighty, folks, just about time to pull the curtain down. I thank you very much. Not only an informative program this morning, but also pretty entertaining note on which we ended. And I thank you for making it all possible. Now you know how much we appreciate you. There you go. Parting word from the Holy Scriptures, just one simple verse. Comes to you from Psalm 34, verse 19. The righteous person may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all. Psalm 34, verse 19. And on that note, I say thank you very much for joining us. Please, we're here every weekday morning, 9 to 10. Well, this morning, 9 to 10:33. Thank you so much. Join us tomorrow morning for the next edition of Good Day, Grenada.